Well, hello. Welcome back to Life Gave Us Material. My name is Taylor.
And I'm Sabrina.
And today's topic is going to be another one of those more lighthearted subjects, if you will. We're going to be talking about some of our favorite memories that we have together. I know we kind of alluded to the fact, maybe it was right in the previous episode, that we were going to have an episode for that at some point in time. And I'm going to allude to another episode. We've been shifting our routines recently, which means we've been getting up a little earlier. I act like this has been going on for a long time. It's not been. So our brains are a little mushy. So we needed something that was easy to talk about. So here we are talking about our favorite memories. I have to find my questions that will help to prompt us so that we can actually talk about
let me ask you a question. What's a memory that still makes you laugh every time you think about it?
First one that pops into my brain. So you had come to visit me, and this was back in, was it the end of 22?
Mm-hmm.
I think so, yeah. And at the end of our visit, so where we were currently living, we were in Minnesota, and Minnesota is known for being treacherous in the winter, and you being from the South know that's not so treacherous, right? So you got to experience our wonderful winters in Minnesota. It gave you a real good taste anyway. So when you needed to go back for your flight, we had a winter storm incoming. And so we got all of our stuff together and we're like, we're going to go the night before. That way we can hopefully make it so you can make your flight. And so we were basically trying to outrun a winter storm, but that was not the funny part. Thankfully, a very dear friend of our family's lived in the area where you were going to be flying out of. And so she was gracious enough to say that we could stay overnight with her. And she gave us options for where we could sleep and whatever. And she had a big king size bed, downstairs and whatever. And you and I were like, we're going to have a slumber party, basically. So here we are, two adult best friends having ourselves a slumber party. And I remember we were tucked down into the bed and we were trying to go to sleep, but we just kept coming up with topics to discuss. And
the lights were, it was dark in the room because we were trying to go to sleep.
We were trying very hard to go to sleep. And the topics that we were coming up were of very personal nature. We were kind of slap happy also at this point. So it just made all of these personal questions extremely magnified. And we were like two giggly girls discussing these things. And I think we were almost so embarrassed about what we were discussing. I almost remember that we had the sheets and the blankets over our heads and we're discussing these subject lines and we're dying of laughter because I think we were like, Becky's gonna hear us upstairs. There was no way she was gonna hear us, but we were just like,
how did we get on this topic?
Well, you asked.
I know. I'm just saying.
Funniest. And I mean, it was side-splitting laughter and honestly an amazing conversation. It was such a fun conversation. And we both died. Almost. We almost met our maker more than once laughing. Yeah. So I think that was the first one that just popped into my brain was that conversation the night before you went back home after we had outrun a snowstorm. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good memory.
There you go. What's one moment when you realized we'd be lifelong friends?
I feel like there's a lot of moments, but I feel like the more recent one was last year. When I texted you about a situation. And at that time we weren't like talking as much.
Yeah.
But we were still in touch. You know, I still considered you like a best friend. But I feel like the way you responded to that situation, you could have just texted me because you know I don't like to talk on the phone. But you called me, and in that moment, I had felt like I had no friend, really, besides obviously family and my husband. Which it wasn't a true reality. I have friends. But like somebody in my corner, like I felt like I could
That would
really
go to bat
share.
for you when you're in a tough situation.
Yeah.
That had your back, yeah.
Yeah, and that had been there, somebody who had been there like through a lot of other things that's happened through my life. And when you called me, I was going back to work, so I didn't have like too much time to talk, I don't think. But I knew like when you called me, I just felt like this peace. And it's like, okay, I do have someone in my corner. You okay?
Off your wrong pipe. I'm so sorry. It's the most
It's okay.
inappropriate time for me to be hacking and coughing.
But I kind of felt in that moment like, yeah, we're gonna make it, because I know have had hiccups, you know, ups and downs in our friendship, but I just felt like we were gonna be lifelong friends.
I know from my perspective, I know that in that moment or during that space and time when we were still friends, we weren't as close as we once were. That was when we were both coming off of massive traumas. Just giving a little bit of context. You had just went through your first loss. I had went through the whole thing with my dad, which I know we've expounded upon both of those things. And I had also went through, you know,
Your
my first pregnancy and loss as well. So there was a lot that we were navigating. And at that time, you know, we were still staying in touch. But for whatever reason during that time, there was a bit of a misunderstanding in regards to one another's feelings, I think. And so we took a bit of space, even though, you know, we were still friends. And then when you were going through your second loss, and also there was another thing that you were navigating at that time that was really tricky, really, really hard, and something that I very much understood because I had also navigated it in my own personal life. And I still remember that text message. And I still remember exactly where I was and feeling hesitant to call you because I know that you're not a person that enjoys talking on the phone. You're more of a texting type of a person. And so, you know, I wanted to be very respectful of that. And I actually remember, you know, my husband telling me, you should call her. And I remember telling him, she's not a phone person though. He's like, you should call her. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And I'm so glad that I did.
Me too.
Yeah, that is a really sweet, it's a healing memory, I think, in a lot of ways. And I think something that we've said in the past is that when we've had bumps in the road, when we've taken a pause, if you will, or just some space, it's like when we come back together, we're even stronger. And I just really appreciate that so much about our friendship. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. Not every friend can say that within their friendships. Oftentimes when you hit the rocks, you just stay in the rocks, and we're just like, no.
Yeah.
You know too much. I love you too much. We're gonna make this work.
Whoops.
We're gonna take a nap and reconvene.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Which trip or vacation or adventure that we've done do you remember most vividly?
Can you say that again? I couldn't hear you quite.
Oh, okay, I need to speak louder. Which trip or vacation or an adventure we have done together that you remember most vividly?
Well, I definitely would say the most recent one that we did to Pennsylvania sticks out in my mind because we just did that trip. But the one that I always keep coming back to and that I remember so fondly is the one that we took to Texas.
Yeah.
Which was over 3 years ago. That's crazy.
That was March of 23, right?
Yeah, it was 2023. And that trip was so much fun because not only was it us, but our husbands also went along on that trip. And I had it on my bucket list to go to Waco, Texas, to Magnolia. And so we made it happen for my birthday trip. My 30th birthday trip is basically what it was. Unfortunately, during that time, I was sick as a dog. That was really not fun. And if there's one thing to know about me, when I am sick, I do not suffer well. Everybody in my wake knows that I am ill. And I know they talk about like man colds and stuff like that. Yeah, whatever they say about like a man cold, I am. When I am sick with a cold, I am, basically write out my last testament and will save me from myself. Like yeah. So I was really sick. I had bronchitis, as well as whatever else, and I was just miserable. However, we managed to have such a sweet trip amidst that. And I remember on my birthday, you all were just so determined, even though I wasn't feeling 100%, to make my day so special. And you guys did. I remember you buying me a lemon lavender cupcake for my birthday from that bakery. And we got our matching t-shirts and we had matching dresses because I remember we did that.
We went to Magnolia on your birthday.
Yep.
Yes.
And I remember we had gotten brand new dresses to wear that were matching. And we went and ate tacos and managed to stain our brand new dresses, which the stains never came out.
Oh.
But that whole trip was so much fun because it extended beyond my birthday. And I remember, we went down into hill country and we had a really cool Airbnb. It was the hay bale cabin. And it was just out in the middle of nowhere. And it was so much fun. Oh, there we are.
It's kind of blurry.
I love that. And actually our profile photo, oh, that's when we went to Top Golf. I think that was San Antonio. Yeah. I remember that
there we are with our.
Yes, that's the picture I was going to mention. That's actually our profile photo on our account for Instagram. Is from our trip then. But we had so much fun. And would do it again in a heartbeat. And we've always talked about going back. And something also that I think is sweet is during that time, you and I got matching onesies for future baby. And we embroidered Baby Miller on each one. We had like the same style. And both of us still have those onesies. It was kind of a faith onesie, if you will, that God is going to give us those desires of our heart. And course, we're still waiting on that to come to fruition. But yeah, that trip is the one I think that sticks out so vividly in my brain, and one that I always return back to because it's was such a sweet time. Sabrina K, what's the most ridiculous inside joke we have? I feel like we have more than one.
Inside joke.
No, I'm thinking.
Do you have one in mind?
I'm thinking. I know we have inside jokes. I'm just trying to think. Well,
yeah, I know we do, but it's not coming to me.
What comes to mind again is the exotic creature.
Oh.
What? It's like half an inside joke. So, Sabrina. Why am I so cheap?
Would you tell him about the cardigan? Is that the one you're thinking? Yeah, that's.
I'm not going to say where this occurred. Yeah. We're going to say. We're not going to give the exact location.
But a restaurant.
But it was a restaurant. It was an Olive Garden, to be exact. So, me and Sabrina's sister-in-law, Trisha, we were all traveling, and we stopped at this Olive Garden to eat supper. And we walked in the door, and there was this young man there. And, of course, Sabrina looks lovely. She always looks lovely. But she was wearing this specific cardigan. And it is a beautiful cardigan, but it's relatively basic, knitted, whatever. And
yeah.
Anyway, I guess. Well, I don't think it was the cardigan the young man was attracted to. He was tripping over himself, and Trisha had made a very sweet comment about Sabrina's cardigan, and then he had to hop on the cardigan train and start complimenting Sabrina kind of on her cardigan, if you will. And then, so we were just kind of like, okay, that was a little awkward, whatever. And he just kind of kept, if I recall, yapping us to our seats. And we got to our seats. We enjoyed our dinner. And on our way out the door, I was like, avoid this nice young man so there's no more awkwardness. You were kind of following me, Trisha.
Well, I didn't even... The thing is it didn't even faze me. I'm just like, oh, thank you. But you and Trisha were both like...
Well, me and Trisha were like, we know. And you're we like, know.
Yeah, and so then that's when I was like, he must like looking at exotic women.
Yeah, because that happened. You mentioned that in the booth. Like, you were like, well, he just must like an exotic woman. And at that point,
I'm married. He has. I mean, I was like, didn't you see me fiddling with my rings? Like, hello.
And I turned to you, and I was like, "You exotic creature, you." And that is kind of where the inside joke formed, if you will. Now, on the way back out of the restaurant, again, he was tripping all over himself, and it was just.
Well, but the crazy thing is he was nowhere to be found, like when we were leaving.
But as soon as we were headed out the door, he's holding the door open for us, and he's continuing the conversation, and then he's stumbling over himself. You and I have started heading to the vehicle.
We tried to go out a different way, though.
We did, and he still caught us.
To avoid him.
And then he held the door open. I'll hold it, and he just kept going and going and going and going, and it was just like, dude.
It was so
realize, like... But he couldn't stop himself. He was just stumbling over himself. Anyway, we got to the car, and again, it was he must like an exotic creature. And it was like, you exotic creature, you. And so that has been kind of the running joke. Because you are a beautiful human being, and you are noticed very frequently by humanity. And whenever that happens, you just turn to me. You'd be like, he must like an exotic creature. And I'm like, you exotic creature, you. So that's kind of the inside joke, if you will. That's our most recent one, I would say.
Yeah. So you answered that question for me because my brain went blank.
Yes, I did. I was going to say I'm sorry. I'm going to
For
over
what?
apologize. I guess I don't have a reason to apologize. And I'm like, I'm sorry I stole your question.
No, that's okay with me. You want to do one more question and then do
Yes.
what we're thankful for?
So let me ask you one.
It's so hard.
Okay, what do you hope our friendship looks like in 14 years from now? Because we've been friends for 14 plus years. I think that's a good one to end on.
I hope that our friendship in 14 years looks like a little bit what it is now, but better. We have gotten together a lot more than we have in the past 14 plus years. And we have children earthside that we can get together as families and like family Miller vacations.
Yeah, that's something we've talked about is we want to return back to that cabin in Texas that I had briefly mentioned earlier on in this podcast. And we want to return back with our children and walk, the streets of Wimberley again, with our babies in strollers. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what are you thankful for?
What am I thankful for? I am super thankful because yesterday I went to the doctor's office. Again, I had alluded in another episode that I was going to be having to do that. And I'm really thankful for my physician. He was really fantastic. And I think we were able to get to the bottom of some things that are going on within my body. And there are solutions to it. And though it's going to take some time, this is not something that is life-threatening. And it also doesn't look like I'm dealing with recurrent or chronic UTIs like I thought. So very relieved by that. Very, very grateful. What's something you're grateful for?
I am thankful that my husband's home. We've been having such a nice time together, just hanging out and in between my work and him working on our house and stuff. And so if you hear noises that sound like banging, sawing, that's him working out on our deck, building our deck out back. So
I'm excited to see your deck.
it's going to be really nice, so be prepared.
Well, will the deck be done by the time we come back and visit?
He is hoping to have it somewhat finished. Probably by the time you're here, it might be like not like the roof over it, but just like the deck, which would be really nice to hang out on.
I'm so excited. Yeah.
Want to get a grill.
Alert. I'm coming to visit Sabrina again, and I'm so excited, and it's going to actually be pretty soon. Stay tuned.
Yes. We're hoping to do some podcast episodes in person then.
I can't wait. I love doing podcasts with you in person. But this is next best thing.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, until next time.
Thanks for listening.
We'll talk to you soon.